Well, the last time we had you on, we discussed the case of the 43 missing students. What is the latest on that front? Why have no more remains been identified beyond one student? And I understand now that the U.S. FBI is working with the Mexican government to do DNA testing on the remains to find the other missing students?
That's correct, they are. And the remains have been sent to a lab in Innsbruck, to an international lab. Argentine forensic team is also working on this. And what they say is that the remains were so incinerated, according to the version of the Attorney General, in a dump in the nearby town of Cocula, that it's very difficult to identify them. And the remains that were found in a river in a plastic bag have been attributed to just one student so far. So we're still waiting on results from that. But meanwhile, there have been serious questions that have been arising regarding the Attorney General's version of the events, which say that they were the bodies were thrown into this dump, there were tires and other flammable material added, and that they were burned there, and then the ashes were taken to the river and dumped in these plastic bags in the river. There's a number of forensic experts, especially two recently at the university here, who are saying that this version is virtually impossible to attain the temperatures necessary to leave remains, and also the fact that there was no other debris, like metal debris, found at the site. And now there's a version that's coming up saying that perhaps the bodies were incinerated at army bases or by authorities themselves at private morgues. And this would implicate a huge cover-up and a much larger degree of federal involvement in the case than has previously come out.
Well, a lot of people have already been arrested in connection to this case, but they've been police officers in Iguala, and of course the mayor and his wife, who've been now implicated as leaders in the narco gang, drug gang that operates in Iguala. Will there be a trial, or is it still too early to bring that up because there's a sense that not everybody in connection with the case has been arrested?
Well, yes, there will certainly be a judicial process for the people that have been arrested, who are members primarily, as you say, of the local government, the local police, and the Guerreros Unidos, which is the regional drug cartel that's alleged to be involved in this case. But the big question is, of course, as always, how far up does it go? And we're looking at, there's already been the resignation of the state governor. He said he was resigning to get out of the way of the investigation. In fact, there's already been several groups and a Twitter campaign that are calling for an investigation into his role, at least in the protection of this mayor, who there's certain evidence was known to be in collusion with the drug cartel a long time before this tragic event happened. And then, of course, there's questions about the way the federal government has handled the case and about its own involvement. Some of the recent evidence that's come out from an investigation by University of Berkeley journalists, as well as a Mexican journalist, is that the federal police and the army, which is stationed right next to where the crime happened, were informed about what was going on. They did nothing to protect the students, and that quite possibly, in particular the federal police, were actually involved in the attacks on the students.